Welcome everybody. So excited to have you here. I haven't been teaching as many classes, and this is my second class today, and I have forgotten how much I love teaching classes because we get together in a group and we learn all sorts of cool stuff, and it's just all sorts of amazing. So welcome everybody. So just a little bit of housekeeping, just to remind you, this is a 3-part series. So we will have 3 classes the same time this Monday, next Monday, and the following Monday. So I will have to check the Zoom links really quick. I believe it is the same link. It may be different ones depending on what has processed. So un momento, por favor. Let me check this really quick because I want to make sure, but you should be receiving, let me see, Zoom links. I think it is the same link, but you should be receiving reminder emails prior to each class, just in case if you don't get that. I will be uploading the call recordings to the group, as well as class notes for you guys each time. And you do have access to me via the group for questions and stuff after class as well. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go, really trying to make the groups a welcoming place where everybody can connect and get new information. So here's your official welcome. Welcome to Body Spirit Balance. The reason that it is called Body Spirit Balance is because we're really focusing on balancing all aspects of ourselves. It is primarily focused on the spiritual side of weight loss. Although for us to effectively lose or release that weight, our body needs to be in balance, because I don't know about you, but there's been many times that I've released weight and then gained it all back because my body wasn't in balance. My spirit wasn't in balance with my body because there are still things that I needed to work on and to heal. And so we are looking for lasting spiritual shifts and changes that will help our body balance itself back to where it needs to be. There are sometimes we need extra support doing that, such as classes, eating certain foods, or eliminating certain foods from our diet, which even today I've had a handful of M&Ms. However, I've talked about this a few times in some of my classes. My husband was taking a lot of his classes during COVID, and of course I love listening to the medical stuff, so I sat in on a lot of his medical classes for school. In one of his diet classes or nutrition, I can't remember which one, they talked about a study. And in this study, and now forgive me, I'll probably get the exact numbers incorrect, but they had a group of people that they split up half 50-50. And they fed this group of people, the entire group, the same meal. But half of this group, they told, this food is toxic. It is bad for you. It is dangerous for you. It will be disruptive to your health. The other half, they said, this is a revolutionary new health food. It's so good for your body. It tastes horrible, like it's bad for you, but it's really good. They tested their blood before they ate the food and then also after. And they found that there was an interesting result, that the people who believed the food was bad for them ended up having worse blood test results and higher cholesterol and other things. And the people who believed that food was good for them actually had better test results, better blood sugars and cholesterols. It was very, very interesting. And in my spiritual weight loss class, if you haven't watched that one, I would suggest going and watching that one to get some of the basics, because we're going to kind of jump over a lot of the basic stuff that I've already taught before, and get into some other things. So if you haven't watched that, head over to YouTube and watch it when we're done. But there's a lot of things that can affect us spiritually. And, I talk about all the time, my grandma, she had a really healthy diet, grew her own food, walked every day, and she lived to be 96. My husband's grandmother lived to be about the same age. In fact, they died 2 weeks apart. She lived on white bread, Coca-Cola, ham and cheese sandwiches, and chocolate. So, you know, the difference is this: my grandma was a little bit more stressed out and worried a lot. So she needed healthier food to keep her body more in balance, where my husband's grandmother was always happy and perky and just go lucky. And so I look at these things and I'm like, okay, our emotions profoundly affect our body. And weight is a protection. It is a signal that really your body is working perfectly. Okay. It means that your subconscious is like, hey, something's dangerous is going to happen. And we've experienced something dangerous. We need to put weight on as a form of protection, as a form of strength. And so, conversely, those that have a hard time losing weight are those that are very, they feel very unprotected. They feel in danger. And I honestly, on a spiritual level, have more concern for people, and also medical, even though I'm not a doctor or things like that. Spiritually and physically, I actually have more concern for people who can't keep the weight on versus those who can't release it. Because it means that spiritually they're disconnected. And that does remind me as well, a little bit more house cleaning with this. Keep in mind, I'm not a doctor. Everything that we're talking about is spiritual, esoteric in this class. Don't start or stop any medical stuff without talking to your doctor, supplements, things like that. Super, super important. Okay. This class is really designed to balance yourself spiritually. And, I actually talked about this in our fight or flight class today. And I've talked about this before. If you missed the fight or flight class, definitely join the fight or flight group and watch the replay, because you will find it also complementary to what we're doing here. But I remember this time where I went in and talked to my body and asked it, what is going on? What are you afraid of? What feels dangerous to you? And my body came back and says, well, you're afraid of ice cream. And that was like, what? Ice cream? That's silly. It's not like monsters or earthquakes or something that normal people would be scared of. I'm scared of ice cream. And as I took things down in layers, we realized that it was a fear because my father was a naturopath. We grew up very naturally. And he instilled this in the fear that sugar would kill us. We would never have candy sitting around like this in our house, like ever. I bought this for my husband. This is his study food. He's got finals coming up next week. And so this is his study food. And it's very interesting because like when I hold this container of M&Ms, it gives me anxiety. I'm like, well, I've heard that red dye causes hyperactivity and blue dye causes a blood-brain barrier. And oh my gosh, this is a dangerous food to eat. So I had that belief too, with this food. And so, what we're really going to be focusing on the next 3 weeks is healing our belief systems, healing the underlying layers of everything. And what I would like to do is really kind of open this class with just a really brief meditation and start with a couple breaths and kind of teach you guys how to settle in and feel where you are emotionally. And if you've ever participated in one of my meditations, you really already gone through this process before. But when we meditate, we deep breathe in through the nose and we kind of hold it all through our lungs, expanding, and then we exhale out, pushing all that energy out. And this deep breathing is actually going to be one of the main components of what we're going to be doing in the next 3 weeks. And I'm going to talk about that more as we go. But let's start with just kind of a quick 2-3 minute meditation of deep breathing. Let me find my lighter. We're going to light just a little bit of sage. And yes, I know, Nicole, I should open my door, but it's 110 out and I'm not going to do that right now. So we have our little sage going and we're just going to breathe in through the nose. I like to envision that we're breathing in white light and exhale out really feeling what emotions or colors that are feeling yucky or stuck to you are, and kind of push those out. Okay, so we're going to deep breathe in through the nose first. Give yourself a little pause and then exhale. Second deep breath in. And exhale. Third deep breath in. And exhale. And as we are calmer and stiller, you can continue to deep breathe. And I just want you to be aware of your body, aware of any tingles, any pains, itching sensations, any tight muscles, any emotions that you're feeling, happy, sad, mad, anxiety. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want you to become aware. Aware of what you're feeling, aware of how you're feeling, aware of what you need. Let's take another deep breath in. I want you to just kind of put your hand over your heart. Do one or two. Send your body, mind, and soul just a little love and appreciation. Telling the body, thank you for our breath. Thank you for my body, my awareness. Whatever you're feeling grateful for. I want you to kind of hold in your mind, you can write on a piece of paper, any emotions or sensations right now that are feeling less than optimal, less than good, anything that feels uncomfortable. I want you to just kind of hold on to that for a moment. I'm going to tell the body today is the day that we're going to process our feelings, our emotions. We're going to learn how to release. So we're going to send gratitude to anything that feels yucky, gross, or heavy. Take a deep breath in. I just want you to speak to your heart and say, relax, relax, relax. I am peaceful. I am calm. Another deep breath in. Then I just want you to move your body a little bit. Oh, God. That's a release. You gotta come back into the room. So I want you to hold on to whatever emotion or feeling that you were feeling that you needed to process today. And we're going to come to that in just a moment. Okay. The other thing we're going to talk about is journals and pens. I will have journal pages for you, or you can get your own. You guys know I'm a big pen person. I would love if you can. If it's not in your budget, don't worry about it. But if it is, get yourself some pens in all the colors of the rainbow possible. I know some of my pens here, these are dollar store colored pens. You can get a set from the dollar store, from the Dollar Tree. Or if you're, I think these were like $12.99 on Amazon for some as well. The reason I want you to get some pens with color, if you can, is it will help you recognize some things that you need to process, some emotions that you need to deal with, things like that. And I will give you a color chart in the group as well that will go over the colors, their meanings, and things like that. But as we journal and process, you know, these are my new pens, so I kind of added them to my bag. We can say, okay, I need to process my emotion today. My emotion is pink today. So pink is a heart chakra emotion. It tells me that there's some insomnia, which I didn't sleep very well last night. I don't most nights. That I need to process. This shows spiritual awakening and midlife crisis energy. and heart chakra healing. So it's an indicator for me that that's kind of where I'm going to be working, is some heart chakra healing, some spiritual connection healing for at least today or this class. Now, if you cannot get your pens, that's fine. What I would like you to do is just sit here before you're ready to journal and just say, what is my color for today? What is my color for healing? And whatever color pops in your mind is going to be your color. Okay. And so, you can do it that way. For me, it's just easier to reach into my pens and grab a pen, so you can grab even more than one if you want. You can work with more than one color. I grabbed brown. Brown's the color of grounding. It's outdoors, it's earthing and reconnecting to earth energy. And I actually know that grounding and earthing is a big priority for me during this healing process. And so a lot of this healing process, you will see what I do for me, and the things that I do for me, you can use for yourself, or you can say, yeah, I'm going to change that a little bit to work better for me. Or you might say, I'm going to leave that part aside. That doesn't feel right for me. And that's okay. What the point of what we're doing here is to really learn self-awareness and connection with your body, mind, and soul, and asking what you need. Okay. And so when we're talking about food and around food, so before class, I was absent-mindedly popping these into my mouth. And I was feeling tired, right? So when I get tired, I look to sugar because I have depleted adrenals and I'm in fight or flight, which is one of the reasons why I want you guys to go to the fight or flight class. And I was really tired before class. I was also a little triggered because somebody in our class was going through a domestic violence situation. And I've been through domestic violence, and it tends to trigger me a little bit. And so I was sending her resources, and afterwards I felt pretty drained because it brought back all those old emotions. And what did I do? I went and laid down, started popping M&Ms. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, I'm emotionally eating. So the questions I asked myself was this: are you emotionally hungry or spiritually hungry? And obviously the answer was spiritually, because I'd already eaten lunch. And the body, the second question is, okay, if I'm spiritually hungry, what emotion am I eating? What spiritually is out of alignment for me? And I already knew what it was. It was fight or flight, because even though I have not seen my ex in 24 years, the thought of him still sometimes puts me in fight or flight. The thought of this situation puts me back into fight or flight. I still have a lot of layers to do healing that. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm feeling fight or flight. I'm feeling scared. Why am I feeling scared? It's because I feel like I'm going to be hurt. And so a lot of this is going down in layers. And if you were on my live last week, you actually saw me process some of these emotions in layers. Okay. And so your pen colors are going to be an indicator of what's going on, but also your intuition. And so, we go down and we're like, okay, I am in fight or flight because of my ex, but is that really why I'm in fight or flight? No, the body's like, no, that's not why. So why am I really in fight or flight over this domestic violence situation? Because you fear that another person will get hurt and you won't be able to save them. Okay, so I believe it's my job to save and protect people, which is pretty typical, because my soul purpose is connected to partially to warrior of light. So I always will feel the need to protect people. Okay, so I want to protect this person, but is that really where this is? No. What is this? You feel out of control. Okay, and why do I feel out of control? Because when you're out of control, you feel unsafe. Okay, so you see how I'm taking myself through this journey of going really deep of, we look at the surface level of just, oh, I'm just eating M&Ms, but now we're down a really deep level of I feel out of control. And that's a whole nother level. And why do I feel out of control? Because of abandonment. And my body actually popped a vision into my mind. When I was about 4 or 5, my parents left me home alone when I was sick with the flu. And I was all by myself. And so a lot of these emotions have a lot of layers, a lot of these things. And so I've now identified multiple layers of healing work, of journaling work that I can do. I can journal around abandonment. I can journal around fight or flight. I can journal around the loss of control, the loss of nurturing when I'm sick. Food feels very nurturing. Food is a very cultural thing. When we get married, we make food. When a baby's born, food. At a funeral, food. Birthdays, food, right? When I learned Chinese, and I've only had a couple semesters, guys, but one of the sayings was "chilama," which I'm probably not pronouncing correctly anymore because it's been years, but it was "have you eaten?" And it was because they had a big famine. And so when they would see someone, the first question was not, "Hi, how are you doing?" Was like, have you eaten? Because it was such a bad situation. And so some of this can be generational. Those people in China have a generational thing around food, right? And so we're going to be looking at the layers. I have family that are Cherokee, Choctaw, Native American that specifically walked the Trail of Tears. And there was much famine on the Trail of Tears. I have family that's Irish, Scottish, Jewish, and we know a lot of things, the potato famine and historical things. So some of these things are going to take us into generational stuff. And so you might be asking your body, is this mine or is this someone else's? And you might find it's an ancestors that you're dealing with. And then we might move into generational trauma healing, which there's already a class on the website on my YouTube. But Nicole, if you could remind me, I think I'm going to do a fresh new one for us as well. And so becoming aware is learning how to communicate with your body. The easiest way that I found in the very beginning to communicate with my body, which I don't use anymore, but I'm going to give you this tool, was through a pendulum, because I had a lot of anxiety. I could not get out of my own way. So I would connect with my pendulum and I would be like, yes or no, show me maybe, things like that. And so there's a lot of information online on how to use a pendulum. So if you choose to do that, that's your thing. Go check it out, research that. I'm not going to go too much into that today. But just know that your pendulum should be cleared often, every time you use it probably, and don't let other people touch it. Okay. Main reason why I don't use pendulums anymore is because I suck at clearing them and I break them all the time. I was told that by someone that my energy is too strong for pendulums and I break them. This one I've only used once, so we'll see how long this one lasts. I don't really use them much anymore. But you can also use your body as a pendulum, using muscle testing or kinesiology. Yes, both classes. Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. And so this is basically using your body as a pendulum. I've taught this multiple times, but I found this very valuable for me because often it is difficult to bypass our intuition or anxiety. I'm sorry, bypass our anxieties and fears and subconscious to get to our intuition and our higher self. And we will work on some higher self meditations. There are some already on my SoundCloud. But I'm going to teach you some basic stuff today and we'll get a little bit more deep as we go. So using your body as a pendulum is as simple as this. You can stand or sit. I am typically always sitting because I have a very limited space. But I usually will just kind of sit with my body and I'll speak something that's not true. Like my hair is purple, so I'm asking my hair is purple. Now, this is an interesting thing for me. Normally, yes, for me is forward. Right now, my body is pulling forward as a yes, which is an instant indicator for me that my polarity is reversed. Is my polarity reversed? Yes. Why is my polarity reversed? Is it for my cycle? Yes. Okay. So my polarity is reversed because I'm ending my cycle, and that can happen. Reverse polarity is being ungrounded. Sometimes when you're in your cycle, or if you're sick or dealing with an autoimmune condition. And so that's why grounding is going to come in, is really important to what we're doing as well. So I'm just going to quickly redo my polarity. We're going to touch the top of our shoulder to our hip, opposite hip. So 1, 2, and then just kind of cross over. And I've learned how to move my energy. So where's yes, where's no? Okay, so that was a quick little flip flop for me. You might have to practice for you. But we go back and okay, my hair is purple. Okay, there's a true, okay, so no, my body pulls backwards for no. Yours might do a little differently, but kind of keep in mind as you go, and you might have to do this every time, is ask where your yes and your no is until you really understand how your body responds. And so very simple, my hair is blonde. Yes, that's true. Okay. And you can do things like your name or something like that, just whatever is true or false. We can go a little bit deeper and go into, and I think we will go a little bit deeper on different sensations, but for the sake of time today, we're just going to do yes or no. And that's going to be a really great way of you communicating with your body, especially when you're asking, okay, is this a physical hunger? My body's pulling back. Is this emotional hunger? Yes. So, that's going to be a really important thing. Intuition is the first thought or sensation that comes to your mind. So when you ask the question, what is the emotion? Like my body's like fear. Fear is a core emotion. To me, there's two core emotions, love and fear, and they all come from those. So if you get down to fear, you're getting really close to why something's going on. So we have that. Now, you can continue to question and ask your body, like, because I know for me, I have depleted adrenals. And so often I will look to sugar to boost my energy. And that's what I was doing before class today. I was boosting my energy because it's like, I need energy for class. Otherwise, I'm going to be like, right? And so we use that as a tool, but really the lack of energy will typically indicate you're in fight or flight for something. You could be angry, you could be fearful, lonely, depressed. Oh man, when I'm angry, I eat like crazy, right? And so giving voice to these feelings can be cathartic, and they can kind of help turn your weight away from like filling the void with food. Okay. Clearly I'm still working to embody this myself, and this is why you guys are here to watch me hopefully do a little better. And I will tell you right now, I don't want everybody going crazy with the food you eat. I don't want to push people into disordered eating. I don't want you hopping on the scale all the time if it stresses you out, because the worst thing you can do is put yourself into stress over all of this. I, however, don't get stressed out with the scale. So I am going to, for me, just track my weight for my usefulness. But if the scale stresses you out, don't get on it. Use your clothes as a judgment. How do your clothes fit? How do they feel? I am primarily going to be using the scale just as more evidentiary for you guys to see my full journey. But just for evidentiary, I weighed myself last night. I am 241 pounds. So the hope and goal by the end of this 3-week journey is to have released a little bit of that. But the bigger hope and goal is to feel happier and more aligned, and to understand my body and my emotions more, to see what emotions, experiences, and traumas are driving my behaviors, and how they're affecting my health. And so that is going to be an important part of the journey. Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life is a good book that you can pick up with this class. Dr. Masaru Emoto's books on rice and water experiments are going to be helpful as well. Oh my gosh, I'm brain farting. Another one I was going to recommend. Oh, here, this is the one. This is my new favorite book. It's kind of thick, but it's called Eastern Body, Western Mind. These are going to talk to you about chakras and somatic therapies, metaphysics, emotions, things like that, chakra blockages. So this one is a really good one. Okay, so the other things, and so these are the things that I am doing. Where's my other book? There. And if you guys know me, I've been a little kind of in my ADHD autism rabbit hole on this book. Louise Hay's book is You Can Heal Your Life. And I like that one because it's short and simple. It's not confusing. This is the Essene Gospel of Peace. It is a Christian-based book. So It's a translation of a Dead Sea Scroll on Christ's time with the Essene people. This book has been changing for me because this is part of my core belief systems. But even if you're not Christian and you just look at Christ as a cool historical figure, this is the teachings of a people who were very aligned, body, mind, and soul with the earth. Talks about a lot of things like that. But the diet I'm going to be following is outlined in this book. So, and I will talk about that. So if you want to get the Essene Gospel of Peace and you want to follow that, there is a free downloadable PDF you can find online, or you can purchase a copy. I'm a bibliophile. I purchase all my books because I like to do things like this, where I write in the margins and all over my books. And let me see if I can find something else. Yeah, like this, where I doodle and make drawings in my books. So, where we talk about the tree of life and things like that. So you're welcome to get this book as well. And I'll try to put some links in the group as for everybody also, when we're done with class. So, the things that are mentioned in the book, breath is really, really important. The breathe deeply during eating slowly, and chewing food very well. And I know for me, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, you know what? I don't breathe. I'm like, eat as fast as I can because I'm used to having 7 kids and having to basically inhale my food and go do something else. And so the one, like I said, there's not going to be a lot of rules with this, but the one thing I would like you to do is breathe deeply and eat slowly, no matter what you're consuming. Take a bite, chew it, savor the food, feel the energy of the food, communicate with the food, the plants, send gratitude to the person who prepared the food. Even if you went out and got a cheeseburger, I want you to do this. I don't care, right? I want you to feel gratitude for the food. I want you to slowly eat and breathe. Now, he also recommends chewing your food till it's like water in your mouth. Chewing your food well, there's a lot of scientific proof out there that, your saliva mixes with your food and helps to digest it. I know for me, it's chew it until I'm able to swallow and inhale it. And so that's another thing I will be doing. And those are some things that I'm going to suggest for you as well, is to breathe deeply, enjoy, honor your food, help the saliva break down the nutrients for your body. No matter your belief system, where you come religiously or not, you could be completely not religious. Like I touched on just a few minutes ago, gratitude over your food, whether it's prayer, whether you do an energy clearing, whatever it is, I want you to thank the food for nourishing and strengthening its body. I want you to thank those that picked the food, prepared the food, growed the food, all of those things. Thanking your body for digesting your food. I would also say, set the intention or prayer over your food and water. This is to nourish and strengthen my body. Please release and protect my body from any and all toxins contained in this. And the reason why, guys, our food's not very clean anymore. Our water's not very clean. I recently found out I have uranium in my body, and our water system here, we think our waters are clean. No, like you go into the water testing, Phoenix, Arizona, where I live, has cesium-6, a really, really radioactive, dangerous thing, and it's in our water supply. And so, some things are unintentional, unavoidable, some are. There's pesticides, even organic food, due to soil depletion, contains 50% of the nutrition that it used to. And so you can ask your food to realign to the optimal nutrition for you. You can grab a water bottle, and I don't have my permanent marker, but I would suggest writing healing affirmations. Just get a plain water bottle. If you have a nicer one, do. I have a different one downstairs. Write things like 100% healthy. This water balances my body. I am healing. Whatever you want to affirm during this process, I want you to write it on your water bottle. And I wish I had my permanent marker. I was ill prepared. I apologize. But I want you to take time, make your notes, write on your body 100% healthy. This water is clear. This water is protective. Is it going to completely, I mean, we're real people. We know this may not clear out every toxin and everything in here, but I really feel like we can balance it. And this is why Dr. Masaru Emoto's work is so valuable, because he looked at the science of the energy and the emotions in the water. Our bodies are primarily water. Our food is primarily water. And so we need to shift and change the molecular structure of our food. Okay. So that's another thing that we're going to do during these 3 weeks. And I'm going to go get mine when I'm done. And if you guys want, you can come to the group, post in the group your water bottles. Tell us what your healing affirmations are that you put on your water bottles, and share that. So what is in my water? I have electrolytes. I get, it's called MMA Nutrition. I actually think they changed their name, but if you go on Amazon, they're there. I'll try to link to those. Nicole's like, this is fun. We'll post hers. Awesome. So I'll post some links to some things I use. These are just personal products that I use. Keep in mind, I'm not a doctor or a therapist. I don't know what's going to align with your body or what you're taking medically. So obviously, before you start anything, please ask your doctor if it's okay. But in here, I have electrolytes. I also have, it's called Kefir or Makrut Lime, Citrus High 6 tincture that I made. You can buy Kefir lime leaves and infuse your water, or you can get any sort of citrus, would be really good in your water. I'm using Kefir because that's what's in my front yard. Okay. I don't know why, but I have lemon and mandarin trees in my backyard that never seem to fruit, but that one does. So that's what I have. I do have some leftover tincture. If anybody wants any, you can message me and I will be happy to send you a small bottle if you pay for shipping. Okay. I won't charge you for what's in there, but I will send you a small bottle if you cover shipping, because shipping's out the wazoo expensive. So if you want to try what I have, I will send you a little bottle. So there's that. Water. So my diet is going to be personally focused on healing or cleansing. Now, I don't want anybody to go berserk over diets. And this is why, because when we feel like we have to eat a certain way, it puts us into fight or flight. It puts us into anxiety and desperation. And I cannot tell you how many times I sat in the grocery store near tears or in tears because I was so frustrated of what I couldn't eat or what I could eat based on the rules of a certain diet system. Now, this is not to discount that there are foods that are definitely more healing and balancing for your body. But I will tell you, the stress over it is not, it's just as bad as running off and eating a cheeseburger. And so I don't want anybody to stress, but I would love you to really feel into your intuition of what is right for your body. Okay, I'm going to be eating primarily vegan, primarily raw vegan, which means uncooked foods. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I will tell you, my husband tried to go vegan with me and he nearly fainted. It's not aligned to his body. He needs more protein than I do. And so it's really important to listen to your body, talk to your doctors, make sure it's aligned to you and what you need. This is about being intuitive and listening to your body. If you live in a colder climate, your body may need the meat to stay warmer because meat makes your body warmer. It thickens your blood. I am in a really hot climate, so my body needs to stay cooler. So it is more aligned to me to eat more fruits and vegetables and things like that. But during the winter, soups and broths and warming foods. So that's why I want you guys to really listen to your bodies. But I will tell you where I'm focusing my eating. My little last hurrah with my M&Ms. Okay. But this is where I'm focusing on eating, is focusing eating only when I'm hungry, not when I'm bored or sad or tired. So I will redirect myself. I will literally, my focus is going to be feeling my stomach. If my stomach's not growling and I'm not feeling peckish or hangry, okay, we get an emotional thing. What can I do to replace that? Do I go on a swim? Do I read a book? Do I go take a shower or a bath? If I'm not really physically hungry or emotionally hungry, then I need to pay attention. Oftentimes, We will feel hungry when we're actually dehydrated. So how much water have I drank? I am horrible at drinking water. And so one of your goals when it comes to water is to look up what is the recommended water consumption for you and make it a goal for this week to at least get to a third of that amount of consumption. If you are already at a third, then, try to increase that. Don't try to hit the whole thing all at once. You'll overwhelm yourself, but just try to actively increase your water intake. Okay. I'm going to be focused on eating with the seasons. So we're coming into fall. So more apples and squashes and pumpkins and things like that. I'm going to focus on eating primarily raw fruits and vegetables, sprouts, nuts, seeds, and some limited raw dairy. Dairy tends to not totally align with me, but I'm okay with raw dairy. Raw dairy is not possible for everybody to get because usually everything's pasteurized. So if you're going to follow the same diet as me, just know that raw dairy is not the easiest thing to get. And there's a lot of recommendations out there to not eat that. But in the Essene Gospel Doctrine book, that is very recommended is raw uncooked dairy, cheeses, things like that. And I believe it's because of the enzymatic and probiotic activity that's carried within those foods. And so really, if we're looking at what am I eating, I'm eating foods that are high in enzymatic activity, fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds. These are all raw, uncooked, have a lot of enzymes, and your body needs those enzymes to function properly. So if we're eating cooked food, then I'm going to be supplementing with digestive enzymes. Here's one of my bottles. I have a couple that are going to be linked in the document that I'll be putting in the group. But digestive enzymes are the bomb. They're one supplement that I would never live without. And of course, talk to your medical professional before adding them. If you normally take vitamins and supplements, you may want to continue those as well, obviously. If you're feeling aligned with another way of eating, that's okay. You may feel more aligned with Mediterranean or paleo, but please feel into seeing if it's right for you for the digestive enzymes, no matter what style of food or dietary that you're eating. If you find like you're like me and you're like, I had a bad moment and I ate a big handful of M&Ms, we're not going to go, oh my God, you just sabotaged yourself and we can't do anything anymore. You've ruined the whole diet. No, we're going to say, oh, that's okay. We love you. I love you. You're so wonderful. You know what? Thank you for nourishing our body, because really what are we trying to do? We're trying to nourish your body. We're trying to nourish our soul with the food, even though it may not be the best food. We're just going to feel love and peace and gratitude. We say we're just going to make better choices in the next meal. Okay. I really don't want anybody to go crazy over this. We're not here to create disordered eating, because that would be awful sauce. Okay. They say your body is what you eat and your spirit is what you think. And really why we're here is to honor and release the emotions that are driving us towards eating foods that may not be aligned with our body. If you know that you have a food allergy, please honor that as we go through this. Food allergies are typically connected to people feeling out of control in their life, imbalanced, manipulated. They often happen to children who have helicopter moms, which I have children with food allergies. So now you know I'm a helicopter mom, but I'm working on it. I'm healing on it. But, so this is no guarantee that you will resolve any food allergies or anything like that. But you may find a little bit of healing, at least around the emotions with them. And so the one thing I do want you to be aware of is gut health. Because it is very important that your gut is healthy and aligned and balanced. And that's why the digestive enzymes are going to be super helpful. If you know you have a throat chakra imbalance, I have worked with thousands of clients to where I can fairly well say that most people with a throat chakra imbalance are going to have issues with wheat or dairy or both. That most people with a solar plexus disruption are going to have issues with wheat, dairy, meat, or high-fat foods. Most people with a sacral chakra disruption are going to struggle with dairy and conventional meats and sugars. So pay attention to, if you know about that you have certain disruptions, you may want to do some elimination. And you just notice, like, how do I feel when I eat this or when I don't eat this? And I think that's going to be a really important part to this process, is how does this food make me feel? Do I feel uplifted and energized, or do I feel like I need to take a nap after consuming this food? Okay. Pay attention to how you're feeling. Again, we don't want to get into disordered eating where this is affecting us emotionally, but if it is comfortable for you, you may want to track that in a journal and create a food journal of, like, okay, when I eat XYZ food, I feel like this. Well, okay. Like for me, I know I can't do caffeine. Caffeine is not a good thing for me. I feel gross. My blood pressure goes up. It's just not a good thing. So caffeine will be on the list for me of something I don't consume. Whereas someone else might find great benefit in a cup of coffee for its diuretic, laxative effects, or, matcha tea for the uplifting energy it gives you. So that's why it's really important through this process that you're understanding where your body is calling you, because everybody is going to have a different need. But we have some primary kind of ideas of where we're going to go. As I said, there's really no rules in this class. However, I would like you to set some goals. I would like you to set the goal for this week of daily grounding. If you don't know what grounding is, this is getting outside, barefoot in the grass, touching plants and trees, sitting under a tree, putting your feet in some water, like a river or a lake, reconnecting to the earth for a minimum of 20 minutes a day, okay? If you can't get outdoors, there are things such as grounding mats. I actually just purchased one myself that's going to be delivered, because I know I spend a ton of time on calls with clients. Okay. And so for me, I know I'm not going to get enough time to go out grounding, because I actually do not have grass anywhere near my house. I have to drive somewhere because I live in Arizona and all we have in our front yards is rocks. So I have to drive somewhere to get a proper ground, or sometimes I'll go outside in the front yard and I'll have to hose down and stick my feet in the mud. Because we have very dry soil that's, when it's dry and deserty, the ground is not as good. So I know for me, it's harder for me to get over and ground. So my grounding mat's going to help me. And so if you have that kind of situation, I will put the link in the PDF as well of where I got my grounding mat. It's like $35 on Amazon. I've personally just ordered it, but it's got great reviews. And on Amazon, when something's got great reviews, typically it's a good buy. At least my rule book it is. Okay. I would also like you to set the goal for intentional movement for 30 minutes, 3 times a week. What is intentional movement? Intentional movement means beyond your regular day-to-day movement where you're walking around doing whatever. So intentional movement could be swimming, yoga, qigong, taking an intentional walk, going roller skating, horseback riding, whatever that feels like to you. But intentional movement is essentially saying, I am going to do an activity that is focused on moving my energy. And as you move your body, I want you to focus on releasing energy, so it's like, okay, I have energy of the day, every step I'm releasing through my step, the water, or the emotions of the day. Or if I'm swimming, every stroke in the pool, I'm releasing those energies. I know that there are some days where I feel unable to move. I'm like, I can't, I need to sit in bed and do Netflix and chill. Okay. So if you have those days on occasion, it's not a bad thing. If you're having them often, there might be a mental health care concern that needs a physician's support. But if you're unable to move, ask your body, where are these feelings rooted? Why do I feel unable to move? I know for me, it's typically rooted in feeling overwhelmed. when there's too many things to do. So oversimplifying things, reducing tasks, definitely helpful, right? So if all you can do is daily grounding, 20 minutes a day, then leave it at that and try next week for the intentional moving, okay? But at least the grounding, okay? Now, no matter your religious belief systems, wherever you are, consistent prayer and meditation is our last goal. All right. This does not have to be a long drawn out meditation. This does not have to be, 30 minutes of staring at a candle. This could be, a walking meditation. I'm going on my 30-minute walk and I'm going to have a prayer or a meditation in my heart as I go. I'm just going to think of the things of the day I want to release, or what I'm going to balance, of communicating with spirit or Mother Earth. Whatever it is. There are some times where my prayers are like driving my kids to school. Dear God, thank you so much for my day. Please bless and protect my children. Amen. Okay. If it's that simple, I don't care. Right. All we're doing is doing things a little bit different so we can shift our energy. Okay. Sometimes it's a simple gratitude practice of, okay, I'm grateful for air today. Thank you for the air I breathe. And I can tell you there's so many days where I'm like, that's all I can find to be grateful for because I'm stressed, right? Not as much anymore. But in the past, people are like, what are you grateful for? And I'm like, nothing is right. And then, no, okay, fine. I'm grateful I have air. I'm grateful I have food. I'm grateful I have a house, even though it's a moldy house. I'm grateful I have a house because some people don't have houses, right? So looking at a way that you can involve gratitude, prayer, or meditation, one, all, some, one of those I think would be very, very beneficial for this week. So those are kind of the things that we're going to focus on for this week. Really simple things, really simple questions. For the group, I'll be uploading later tonight the replay of the class, the notes for this class, the journal meditations, and the color sheet that can kind of show you like which emotions are attached to which colors. Okay, so you can kind of get started on your journey. I think for me, the breath is going to be my hardest focus for this week. I tend to hold my breath. I tend to forget to breathe. I find like one of my big decompressions, I'll kind of show you here if I can find it, is, I don't know if you can see this little game called Clash Royale. I started playing that video game with my kids about 6 years ago. And I noticed that it is my disassociation thing. But when I play it, I hold my breath. I barely breathe for the 3 minutes of doing my little Clash. And my husband and I noticed the same thing. We're like, we're not breathing when we do this. This is not good. We need to breathe, right? And so I noticed for me, I hold my breath a lot. If that's true for you, if you have an Apple Watch, they do little breathe reminders. You can set a reminder on your phone. An app that I really like because I struggle with remembering things is called Google Keep. It will pop up with little reminders. Breathe. Take 3 minutes to breathe and meditate. I'll put my affirmations in Google Keep. I don't even know where it is right now. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. It's actually not even downloaded on my phone right now because I don't know why it automatically like undownloads things to my phone, but that's kind of what it looks like, Google Keep. And you can add it to your phone and it will send you reminders. And okay, pause. I'm going to take a minute and focus in on breathing. I'm going to just, okay, really process those things. Okay, it's my time for meditation. I actually schedule into my calendar meditation time. Do I always listen to it? No, but it's there. So make some time on your calendar for these things. And if you skip it, don't get on yourself. Just say, okay, it's scheduled for the next time. I'll get there next time, right? If you have children, involve them with that. If you have a partner, involve them with it. And say, like my husband, he's like, I'm going swimming tonight. Do you want to go with me? And he does this all the time. Go with me. And most of the time I'm like, tired, I don't want to go. It's usually because I don't want to get my hair wet because my hair is a pain in the ass after I get in the pool. So I'm like, oh, I get my hair wet. I just did my hair. But the other night I got in with him and I was like, oh, I'm so glad I did. It was so calming and restorative and balancing. So invite your partners, invite yourself. If you don't have a partner, set up an invitation for yourself. I'm inviting myself to my private meditation party. And that's kind of where we're going to be focusing today, this week. And so just to kind of recap, we're going to be breathing. We're going to journal, get some journal pens. When we're eating, we're going to ask, what are the emotions that I'm feeling? If we're craving food, if we're eating from stress, we're going to ask, what emotion am I eating? Am I emotionally or physically hungry? Okay. We're going to work on cleansing our food. Just a quick prayer, meditation. You can even just envision waving your hand over the food with a white light and just say, I'm sending white light to my food that clears, protects, and sends gratitude. Whatever is aligned with you. This is not supposed to be a really hard, stressful process with a bunch of rules. Okay. No matter what you're eating, we're going to at least try to eat with the seasons. We're going to try to incorporate more uncooked fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and dairy within all your limitations. And I am fully aware that raw dairy is not legal in all areas. Although typically raw cheese is in most Whole Foods because there's certain laws about how long it's processed. So that might be easier to find. Continue whatever supplements or medications you have. Definitely don't stop anything without your doctor's permission. If you want to and your doctor's okay with it, try adding a digestive enzyme. Really work on connecting with your body and understanding what your body is asking you for and needing. You know, if you're craving, like I remember I was craving sweet potatoes and pumpkin like crazy for a long time. My body might have been deficient in vitamin A, right? And so pay attention. Like if your body is craving salt, it might show adrenal exhaustion and things like that. And Nicole, please, if you could help remind me to post, I have a little chart of like what you crave connected to like what things could be going on with you that might be helpful. Daily grounding, get out there, touch the trees, the dirt, barefoot. Okay. If you can't, look at surrounding yourself with plants or get a grounding mat for your floor, your desk, or for your bed. You can find pillows, things like that. Try to do intentional movement and prayer or meditation as much as possible as well. So those hopefully are not very overwhelming goals for this week. Again, these will all get posted in the group as a downloadable PDF. I will put up the class recordings for you to rewatch. You can ask questions as much as you want in the group. I will try to check it every day. I know Nicole will be there too. Nicole's a Reiki master. She's got a lot of awesome information as well. And she did just post a big list of all the really awesome classes that are included in YouTube that might be useful. And again, if you missed the fight or flight class, even if you did go to it, join the fight or flight group, the soul aligned process, can definitely help you guys on what we're doing as well. Okay. Because we really want to create awareness with the body and understanding. We want to reconnect to the earth around us. If you're interested more in the Seeing Gospel of Peace, you can join the book club group where we're going to be studying this more in depth. But I'm trying to kind of leave this very simple and easy. But if you want to do more, we're going to have a book club class on that. So yeah, that is today's class. I hope that everybody found that useful to get us started. I'm excited because I know my body really needs this alignment. I got frustrated and overwhelmed and gave up. And I put back on 50 pounds. And I remember thinking about how hard it was for me to release that weight the first time. And I was like, I'm never going back. And here I am. Right. And so I just want you guys to know this is a space of non-judgment, of balance, and of peace. And it's really more than like, let's tip the scales. Let's balance our bodies and our minds and our spirit and souls and understand what we need to be more complete as spiritual humans so that our bodies can rebalance themselves. Because really, Our bodies are a reflection of the soul, of the energy, of the chi that we carry within it. And if our bodies are reflecting an imbalance, it reflects a soul imbalance. And so let's find out where we can rebalance those things so that we can fulfill our purpose and live healthier, happier lives instead of, lives that we don't feel aligned to. Because I know so often I'm even guilty. I know this stuff, and I look in the mirror and my self-talk is not very good. And I give up often. And so I hope that we can support each other as we go through this in a way that is loving and kind and gentle to our body, mind, and souls. So to each and every one of you, thank you for today. I'm sending you love to all of you. Go head over to the website under groups and join our group, and you will find the replay and all the downloads in that group. And I will see you guys next Monday for our class. So have a beautiful day, everybody. And hopefully we will see you next Monday. But if you need anything, you know where to find me until then. Bye, everybody.